Robert stormed into the lawyer's office like he owned it, just like he'd stormed through life for the 40 years I'd known him as my stepson. "This is ridiculous," he announced, throwing his designer jacket over a chair. "We all know what my father wanted. The estate should go to his blood family, not his second wife." The way he said second wife made it clear what he really wanted to say. Gold digger. Trophy wife. The words he'd been using behind my back for 4 decades, ever since I married his father at 25. "Please, Mr. Harrison," Arthur Wells, my late husband's lawyer, gestured to a chair. "Let's handle this professionally." "Professional?" Robert's laugh was bitter. "There's nothing professional about this. She's trying to steal my inheritance." I sat quietly, my hands folded in my lap, thinking about George's last words to me. "Wait for the right moment, Catherine. Let Robert show his true colors first." "The will reading is scheduled to begin in 5 minutes," Arthur said calmly. "Perhaps we should wait for your sister? Elizabeth won't be coming." Robert smoothed his silk tie, probably worth more than most people's monthly salary. "She trusts me to handle this situation." Of course she did. Elizabeth had always hidden behind her brother, letting him fight her battles while she played the innocent sister. Just like she'd let him attack me at George's funeral last week, crying delicate tears while Robert accused me of manipulating his father. The door opened again and Jennifer, Robert's wife, swept in. She'd clearly dressed for battle in a black Chanel suit and pearls that cost more than my first car. "Catherine," she said with frozen politeness, "you're looking well." At 65, I knew I didn't look like the young woman who'd married George Harrison. But unlike Jennifer, with her obvious plastic surgery and desperate grip on youth, I'd aged naturally. George had loved that about me, said it showed my authenticity. "Thank you, Jennifer." I smiled, knowing it would irritate her. "How are the grandchildren?" She flinched slightly. The grandchildren were a sore spot. They preferred spending time with me and George, enjoying our simple beach house and home-cooked meals over their parents' rigid rules and formal dinners. "Let's get on with this," Robert interrupted. "I have a board meeting at 2. Arthur nodded and pressed a button on his desk intercom. "Send them in, please." The door opened again, admitting 3 more people. Maria Santos, George's longtime assistant, Dr. James Chun, his personal physician, and Judge Margaret Torres, who I recognized from charity events. "What's this?" Robert demanded. "Why are all these people here?" "Because your father requested their presence," Arthur said simply, pulling out a thick envelope. "Now, shall we begin?" Robert leaned forward eagerly as Arthur opened the envelope. I noticed his hands were shaking slightly, the first crack in his confident facade. "Before we proceed with the formal will reading," Arthur began, "Mr. Harrison left specific instructions about a video that must be played first." "A video?" Robert's voice rose. "What video?" Arthur turned to Maria. "Ms. Santos, if you would." Maria, dear, loyal Maria, who'd worked for George for 30 years, stepped forward with a laptop. She set it up on Arthur's desk, angling the screen so everyone could see. "This was recorded 6 months ago," she explained, her voice soft but firm. "Mr. Harrison was very specific about when it should be shown." The screen flickered to life, showing George in his study. My heart clenched at the sight of him. Still strong and handsome at 75, his silver hair neat, his blue eyes sharp with intelligence. "If you're watching this," he began, "then I'm gone, and my son is probably making life difficult for Catherine." Robert made a strangled sound. "I know you too well, Robert," George continued. "You never could accept that I found love again after your mother died. Never understood that Catherine brought joy back into my life when I thought I'd lost everything." "This is manipulation," Robert protested. He was clearly not in his right mind. "I am in perfect mental health." George's recording cut him off, as if anticipating the objection. "Dr. Chin can confirm that, which is why he's there. Right, James?" Dr. Chin nodded, though George couldn't see him. "Mr. Harrison underwent a complete cognitive evaluation the day this was recorded. He was fully competent." On screen, George leaned forward. "Now Robert, Elizabeth. Though I suspect only Robert is there, since Elizabeth never could face confrontation. It's time for some hard truths. About the estate, about the company, and about what really happened to your mother's fortune." The color drained from Robert's face. "Stop the video." "The video plays in full," Arthur said firmly. "Your father's instructions were very clear." "You don't understand," Robert's voice cracked. "There are things private family matters. Like how you've been embezzling from Harrison Industries for the past decade." George asked from the screen, making Robert jump. Or how you and Elizabeth squandered your mother's trust fund and tried to hide it from me. Jennifer turned to her husband, her perfect features twisted in confusion. Robert, what is he talking about? Oh, there's so much more, George continued. But before we get to that, I want everyone to understand exactly why I made the decisions I did about my estate. And Robert, you might want to sit down for this part. I watched my stepson sink into his chair, his arrogance finally cracking. He'd spent 40 years trying to push me out of his father's life, never realizing that his own actions were pushing him away instead. Catherine. George's voice softened as he looked into the camera. My love, I'm sorry I won't be there to see his face when he learns the truth. But I promise you, justice is about to be served. I touched the locket around my neck, the one George had given me on our last anniversary, telling me not to open it until after this moment. Robert was about to learn that underestimating his stepmother had been the biggest mistake of his life. On the video screen, George shifted in his chair, his blue eyes blazing with purpose. Let's start with your mother's trust fund, he said. The one you and Elizabeth were so desperate to keep me from investigating. Did you really think I wouldn't find out how you lost it all in that real estate scheme back in 2015? Robert's hands gripped the arms of his chair. Father, please. $20 million. George continued relentlessly. Your mother's entire inheritance, meant to secure your children's future. But that wasn't enough for you, was it? No, you had to try to hide the loss by embezzling from Harrison Industries. Jennifer turned to her husband, her face ashen. You lost Tommy and Sarah's trust fund? It gets better, George said, as if responding to her. Robert, show them the check you wrote last month. The one for $5 million to consulting services that actually went to cover your gambling debts. Maria stepped forward, holding a folder. I have copies of all the relevant documentation, including bank transfers and falsified board approvals. Robert lunged for the folder, but Judge Torres cleared her throat. Mr. Harrison, that would be a very unwise move. You don't understand, he pleaded. Father was confused, manipulated by her. He jabbed a finger at me. Catherine's been poisoning his mind against us for years. I finally spoke up. Is that why you never visited him in the hospital? Because I was poisoning his mind. What? Jennifer's voice cracked. You said your father refused to see you. He lied, George said from the screen. Just like he's been lying to you about the company's finances, about his gambling, about everything. He sighed heavily. But Catherine was there every day, reading to me, making me laugh, running Harrison Industries while pretending she was just helping out so Robert wouldn't feel threatened. Now everyone turned to stare at me. Oh yes, George smiled. My trophy wife has an MBA from Wharton and 20 years of experience in corporate restructuring. She's been quietly keeping Harrison Industries afloat while Robert tried to sink it with his schemes. I opened my locket and pulled out a small USB drive. The proof of life audit, I said quietly, handing it to Arthur. Every transaction, every hidden account, every falsified document. I've been documenting it all for the past 5 years, hoping Robert would change, would become the son his father deserved. But you didn't change, George continued. Instead, you got worse. Using company money for your gambling, threatening employees who questioned your expenses, even trying to turn your own children against Catherine when she wouldn't give you access to my personal accounts. The grandchildren, Jennifer whispered. They don't prefer Catherine's cooking, do they? They've been hiding from you. Robert's face had gone from white to red. This is all lies. I demand. You're in no position to demand anything, George cut him off. Because as of the moment this video plays, you are no longer CEO of Harrison Industries. The board has already approved your removal, effective immediately. The board would never. Already did, Maria confirmed. The vote was unanimous this morning. And now, George continued, for the part you've all been waiting for, the distribution of my estate. He picked up a document. To my son Robert and daughter Elizabeth, I leave $1 each. Robert shot to his feet. You can't do this. I can and I did. You squandered your mother's fortune. You nearly destroyed our company. You spent 40 years trying to hurt a woman whose only crime was loving me and trying to be a mother to you. Tears were streaming down Jennifer's face now. All these years, you've been lying to all of us. To my grandchildren, George went on, I leave trust funds of $10 million each, to be managed by Catherine until they turn 30. These funds are structured to be completely protected from their parents' access or influence. Robert slumped back in his chair. And the rest of my estate, including controlling interest in Harrison Industries, goes to my wife, Catherine. The woman who spent 40 years loving me despite constant attacks from my children. The woman who protected our company while asking for no credit. The woman who still tried to help my son, even when he was trying to destroy her. I felt tears in my own eyes as George leaned closer to the camera. Catherine, my love, open the locket now. Not just the USB drive. There's a hidden compartment in the back. With trembling fingers, I found the tiny catch. Inside was a small key. That opens the safe in my study, George explained. Inside, you'll find one last gift. Proof that you weren't just my wife. You were my hero. Maria stepped forward again. I can take you to the safe whenever you're ready, Mrs. Harrison. This is illegal. Robert tried one last time. I'll contest it. No, you won't, Judge Torres spoke up. Because I've already reviewed all the evidence. This will is ironclad. And if you contest it, the proof of your embezzlement goes directly to the district attorney. You'd send your own son to prison? Robert asked the video screen. To protect the company? To protect your children's future? To protect Catherine? George's voice was firm. Yes, I would. Because that's what a real father does, protects his family, even from themselves. The video screen went dark, but George's presence still filled the room. Mrs. Harrison, Arthur said gently, would you like to see what's in the safe now? I looked at Robert, my stepson, the boy I'd tried to love for 40 years despite his hatred. Would you like to come with me? Why? He whispered. Why would you even offer after everything I've done? Because I made a promise to your father. To always try one more time. To always leave the door open for reconciliation. Jennifer stood up. Robert, for once in your life, listen to someone besides your own ego. The safe, when we opened it, contained one more video. This one showing Robert at age 10, shortly after I'd married George. In it, he was showing me a school project, his face bright with excitement as I helped him fix a wobbly piece. You kept this. Robert's voice cracked. I kept everything, I said softly. Every drawing, every report card, every moment when you let me be something close to a mother to you. Before the money and bitterness took over. There was also a letter addressed to Robert. Son, it read. If you're reading this, it means you finally listened to Catherine. Finally saw her for who she really is. Not a threat to your inheritance, but a gift to our family. The safe also contains proof of every time she defended you to me. Every time she covered your financial mistakes. Every time she tried to protect you from your own worst impulses. The question is, now that you know the truth, what kind of man will you choose to be? Robert sat heavily in his father's study chair, the letter trembling in his hands. The company, he said finally. All those times I thought I was cleverly hiding my mistakes. I was fixing them, I confirmed. Because that's what mothers do, even for children who hate them. I didn't hate you, he whispered. I hated that you made him happy when Mom couldn't anymore. I hated that you were everything she wasn't: smart, capable, strong. Your mother was all those things too, I said. She just didn't live long enough to show you. Jennifer picked up a photo from George's desk, one showing all of us at Tommy's graduation. Can we start over? For the children's sake, if nothing else. I thought about George's words. Always try one more time. Your father left you $1 each, I said to Robert. But he also left me the power to make things right, if you're willing to earn back his trust. And mine. How? Rehab, I said firmly. For the gambling. Therapy for the anger. Regular visits with your children, supervised until we're sure you're healthy. And a junior position at Harrison Industries, where you'll learn the business properly this time. You'd give me another chance? After everything. No, I corrected him. I'm giving you an opportunity to earn another chance. The same opportunity I've been trying to give you for 40 years. 1 month later, I sat in the CEO's office at Harrison Industries, George's old office, now mine, looking at a report from Robert's rehab facility. He was doing well, facing his demons, finally becoming the man his father had always hoped he'd be. Elizabeth had surfaced too, once she realized her brother wasn't going to win. She's in therapy now, learning to stand on her own instead of hiding behind Robert's anger. The grandchildren visit every weekend, no longer afraid of their father's mood swings. Jennifer has become an ally, helping me establish a foundation to support families affected by gambling addiction. And that second video George left in the safe? We play it at every family dinner now, a reminder of what we could have been all along, and what we might still become. Yesterday, Robert brought me a business proposal. his first since returning to the company in an entry-level position. It was thoughtful, well-researched, and completely legitimate. "I'll never be the son you deserved," he said as I reviewed it. "But maybe I can be the son Dad always saw in that old video." I looked at the photo on my desk, George and me on our last anniversary, his eyes twinkling with the secret of what he'd planned. "Your father once told me that the greatest act of love is believing in someone's best self, even when they can't see it themselves," I said. "That's what I've been doing for 40 years, Robert. Believing in your best self. I'm just glad I lived long enough to finally meet him." Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.